welcome to Quantum Creators Exchange, brought to you by the Institute for Soul Evolution. This week's topic is fight, flight, or freeze. So without further delay, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, dear. Okay, this is always an interesting subject, fight, flight, or freeze. And most people refer to it as fight or flight because they think there's only two options. One of the options is fight, right? This is you're confronted with something or a situation or a person or something's going on. And your body goes into overdrive. The adrenals kick in order to stand your ground and to fight. The next option is to flight, is run away. So your nervous system shuts down, your adrenals kick in, and you turn around and run. The third option most people don't realize exists, and which I believe most people practice, is freeze. And their nervous system shuts down and their adrenals kick in and they just sit still. So it's like you got your car in neutral and you're revving the engine, but you're doing nothing. You're not moving forward, not moving backwards, not running away, you're just neutral. So it's fight, flight, or freeze, really, is the way our nervous system reacts to it. So I give a great example when I do one of my clearings called the Limbic system reset. The way things work is you have a thought, a feeling, an emotion, and then you take an action and then a result. All right. So let's say you're in your office, you're in your home office, and you're sitting there working, and you're working on a project, and a storm is coming in. And as you're sitting there working, the storm comes in, and you're thinking, you have a thought, oh, I left the window open in the bedroom down the hallway. I probably should get up, go shut that window before the storm comes in, and so the carpet doesn't get wet. So you have a thought, feeling, emotion. You take the action of walking down the hallway, shutting the window, and the carpet doesn't get wet. Now, when somebody has gone through a lot of shock, panic, trauma in their life, when they've experienced PTSD, if you're having symptoms of depression or anxiety or anything like that, that sequence is out of order. And so instead of a thought, feeling, emotion, action, result, what happens is you're sitting at your desk, rain's coming in, you're not paying attention to it because you're kind of like in freeze mode sometimes. And the wind blows, the door slams. And what happens is you hear the noise. And the first thing that happens, instead of thinking, you have an emotional reaction. Your body just tenses. Your body goes into a state of fight, flight, or freeze right away. And then you begin to panic. And that builds and builds and builds. And then if you do have a thought, the thought is, oh my God, Jason Voorhees has just come in the window and he's coming down the hallway to slit my throat. That's the kind of thoughts you have when the brain shuts down. When you go into fight, flight, or freeze, the brain shuts down. You can't focus, you can't think straight. And any thought you have is based upon the emotion and the trauma that's going on in the body at the time. So that puts things way out of whack. So you have a feeling and then an emotion and the action. The action might be panic. It might crawl under your desk. You might, call the police. Who knows? And then the thought. If you have a thought, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Let me think about this. There's a storm. Yeah, that window's open. Maybe that's it. So you go down the hallway and find your carpet is all wet from the rain that just blew through. So that's things get out of order. What happens is things get out of order. This is the way we normally function, and this is how you think things through, get results in your life, achieve your goals, live your mission, be who you came here to be, live into your purpose. But when you are full of shock, panic, and trauma, this is how things happen. This is the normal result of the way things happen. And it's because you're stuck in overdrive. Okay. The analogy of the car is so apropos here because you can have this magnificent automobile and it can go really fast and it can be really comfortable and it can take you places that you can never imagine and you can have a good time doing it. But when that automobile is in neutral, the freeze, you never leave the garage. When it's in flight, it's always heating up. When it's in fight mode, it's hard to control. And your body is very similar to that. So the body really gets worn out when you're in this state. Now, unfortunately, what is happening in our world today with the 7x24 news cycle and the constant media barrage that we have about everything that's going on, and people are just consuming things left and right, like social media and news articles and binge watching TV shows and so forth. I've seen a lot of this happen, and that is perpetual fight or flight. Perpetual. Literally a constant state of this. This happens when we're threatened, or this happens when we're tired and something happens. But your perpetual state of fight or flight is when people just walk around in that state. And you may have noticed this in yourself, or you may have noticed this in your friends or family. If you walk around in perpetual fight or flight, you don't think well. Your brain can't take in all the thousands of bits of information that's around you all the time, and your brain doesn't work. And so people not thinking clearly, the diagnosis of ADD may come into play here when people are in this state constantly, because they can't think, they can't process information, they're not paying attention to the parts of the world that they need to be paying attention to, especially moving their life forward. So perpetual fight or flight is starting to be very, 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 very common in our society. And the bad news is that it wears you out. Your body is not meant to be in perpetual fight or flight, and you will be tired, fatigued. Eventually you can get diagnoses like chronic fatigue syndrome. And that's usually happens when they have to put a label on something that they can't identify what the root cause is, when in fact the root cause is perpetual fight or flight caused by this being your prominent mode of action, which triggers this set of events, which ultimately is caused by an accumulation of shock, panic, trauma. And shock, panic, and trauma can come from many, many different areas. It's like I said, we live in a society now with a 24/7 news cycle. And if you walk around consuming that stuff, you're probably stuck in this. So I hope that explains what fight, flight, or freeze is from an energetic standpoint. What we're doing as part of the Soul Warrior Network is this is part of the clearings that we get to. This is an ongoing program that you can jump into at any time. It has no beginning, has no end. And if you missed the network reset this month, you join next month, you'll pick it up at the end of the cycle. So we'll repeat this over and over and over again until you get it.
Yeah.
But this is all about, the program is all about getting back to your natural state. And your natural state is happy, healthy, joyful, fearless, loving, and alive. You are that. You are that. I've often said, heaven is at hand. Jesus said, heaven is at hand. Heaven is right here. And you can live and should live in a state of heaven, no matter what you're doing. This is a magnificent place, but it's easy to get out of balance and get this cycle out of balance. This produces heaven. This produces magnificent results in your life. This produces chaos, craziness, misunderstandings, relationship problems, physical difficulties, mental, emotional, spiritual issues in your life. When this sequence is out, you're in trouble for the long haul, and it is difficult to get your life back. And when this sequence is out like this also results in addictions. So you might think that glass of wine that you have every day at 5 o'clock is okay, and under normal conditions it is. But I guarantee you, try going without it. Your body craves it now. And it has to have it, because that's the only time it can go and calm down, is with that glass of wine. And then that glass of wine becomes 2, and then it becomes 3, and then becomes a half a bottle, and 5 o'clock becomes 4, and 4 becomes 3 becomes 2, and 2 becomes 1. And before you know it, you got a drinking problem. And it's all because this sequence is out of order, right? The root of the root of the root is to addiction is not processing the world properly. You're covering up some shock, panic, and trauma that's stuck in the energy field. You've got something in there that doesn't belong to you, not allowing you to be in a state of happy, healthy, joyful, fearless, loving, and alive. And don't get me wrong, wine, everything on this planet is here for our use. But when it becomes a situation where you can't control it and moderation is no longer the rule of the day, then you've got problems. And I guarantee it's in this sequence. And I guarantee it's because of you're either fight or flight most of the time, or you're in a perpetual fight or flight. And when you get perpetual fight or flight, that will manifest as physical ailments, body aches. Ultimately, it could lead to things like heart disease, cardiac issues, kidney problems, and even cancer. But we're not supposed to be like that. Our bodies can heal. Our bodies can recover. Our bodies can rejuvenate. Our bodies have a cycle to them. And like I say, your natural state is happy, healthy, joyful, fearless, loving, and alive. And if you're not there, you need to get into this Soul Warrior Network and start getting some serious work done. Meets every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The details on the website. Please come and join us. Come and join us. Did I answer your question, sweetheart?
Oh my goodness, yeah, you did. And I just wanted to add, I'll put the link if you're interested in this Soul Warrior Network. I will put the link in the description of the video below. And also my email if you want to contact me. And that pretty much wraps it up, other than I had one question or one statement to say. Seeing this world that we're living in, that seems to be, we've got all these different narratives going on. And I am observing a lot of people in fight mode right now. They're fighting amongst each other because one has one narrative, the other one has another narrative. So what are some of the things that someone can do right now to get them in a state of just calm?
Well, okay, so you bring up a great point. and it is fight. Okay, so fight doesn't mean fist. Fight can mean standing there trying to argue with somebody. And that's because the news cycle and the stories are being told remember what I said earlier, when you are in this mode, your brain shuts down.
Yeah.
Your brain shuts down. Okay. And you just kind of go through life like a zombie, whether it's fight, whether it's flight, or whether it's freeze. People get scared and they'll go into flight mode. Their brain shuts down. Freeze, they just kind of neutral. Their brain shuts down.
Yeah.
And so you don't process the world. You don't process information. So you need to do a 24-hour or 48-hour or 72-hour media cleanse, turn off TV, turn off the news. I did an experiment on myself when I was going through my own personal healing journey. I picked a date, I put it on my calendar, and I said, from this date, I will not read a magazine. I will not watch the news cycle. I will not pick up the Wall Street Journal. I will not do anything. And for a year, and I kept to it. For 1 year, I didn't listen to NPR. I didn't listen to nothing. I didn't watch anything, because it's all propaganda. It's all BS, because everybody has an agenda that they're pushing. Everybody's trying to push their story and try to get you to click that link as many times as possible. Watch that article as many times as possible. Go to YouTube as many times as possible. And they all have an agenda because they make money off of you. And so for 1 year, had it on my calendar, I did nothing like that. And I was not uninformed. If there was something going on in the world, people would say something to me. Hey, did you hear about this? Hey, did you hear about that? Hey, did you hear about that? I heard everything I needed to hear. I was never unaware of anything big that was going on in the world, but I took this fast, if you will. A year later, calendar, here comes the date, click. I turn on the TV, I pick up a newspaper, I pick up the Wall Street Journal, and guess what? The day before I stopped or started, the day before I started the fast, the information I was reading, all the stories, all that stuff that was in there, it was like I never missed a day. Never missed a day. 1 year later, and they're still talking about the same BS. The same BS. And you can do that on a yearly basis. You can do it on a decade basis. You can do it on a century basis. They're still going to be talking about the same BS. The world moves on no matter what. And it's the same stuff. They just recycle and regurgitate, just in different forms and fashions, all to keep your brain attuned to them, and keep you tuned to their narrative and their stories. Stop it. Take a fast and see how better you feel. Get off Facebook, get off Twitter, get off YouTube, get off all this stuff, and go walk in the woods. Go walk in the woods. Take your dog for a walk around a lake, go hug a tree. And I'm not kidding. Go hug a tree. Sit up next to one if you think you're going to look silly, but sit up next to a tree and see how you feel. You're part of nature. Your nervous system is part of nature. You're created by the same stuff the earth is created by. And you need to feel that. You need to feel the peace, and you need to feel the creator. Okay. And when your nervous system is just jacked up, you're like hyped up on Mountain Dew is what's happening. And you're stuck in this, you can't even feel the creator.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. That's
the problem. And when you're not feeling the creator, when you're not feeling that energy, whatever it is for you, whatever you call creator, when you're not feeling that, you feel lost. And then that feeds up into this cycle, makes it worse. And when you feel lost, you're not being who you came here to be. You're not doing what you came here to do. You're not living into your mission. You're not living into your purpose. And then you feel even worse because you go, what the hell is life about? And then we're seeing the suicide rate increase in this world. I've got kids and teenagers coming to me now on my one-on-one sessions, teenagers that are suicidal. Like, what the hell do you have to be suicidal about? Everything is done for you. All you got to do is show up and study now and then at school, go have fun with your friends. But they can't feel the world. They can't feel who they are. They can't feel this world as heaven because they're stuck in this crap. And then the doctors get a hold of them and want to medicate the shit out of them. Yeah. Nothing makes me madder than kids coming to me with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 psychotropic drugs and suicidal. That's where we're all headed, though, if you don't get the hell out of the system and break this chain and break this cycle and get rid of perpetual fight, flight, or freeze. Hug your children, hug your family, hug your mom, hug your dad, hug your spouse, hug your dog, hug your neighbor. Feel the world the way it's supposed to be felt, not through a screen. That's my advice.
Well, all right. Yeah, that is. I think we all need mainstream media detox,
Amen.
Amen.
I cut the electric connection to every one of those suckers.
Yeah. All right. Well,
all right, is that it?
That's it. That's it, baby. You got it.
All right.
You got it.
I'm going for a walk around the lake.
Can I join you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, love and blessings until next week. Hang in there. Bye.